see you in about 10 minutes.
All right.
Indeed!
And good afternoon, Foxtrot. Hello, hello. Welcome to episode 23 of Shrine Talk. And joining me today is our special guest, RisaKumaTV.
Oh, hi guys.
Hey you.
Me.
Today's topic is going to be about the fighting game grind. But of course, before we get to that, I would like our viewers to know more about our guest. So Risa, kindly introduce yourself.
Well, since it's the fighting game topic, I'm Risa. I'm a Tekken player. I play Tekken from Tekken 5. But I try hard starting at Tekken 6. I start learning combos, I start learning fundamentals and essentials. So I can say I'm decently knowledged in fighting game genre because I tried Street Fighter as well, I tried Guilty Gear, I tried Soul Calibur, King of Fighters, and a lot of classic titles. So regarding the topic of fighting games, I think I'm pretty knowledgeable. Especially, I'm a hardcore Tekken player, so I nearly grind the game every day. I guess that's it for me.
Okay, okay.
for
Fair
the
enough.
short introduction.
But yes, of course, for those who haven't followed Risa, kindly do so. I already gave her a shout out. Okay. So, as we mentioned, rather as you guys can see, the topic for today is the fighting game grind, and I'm just gonna give a quick rundown of what our goal is for the talk. So with the whole buzz surrounding fighting games, especially with Evo 22 last weekend, we're gonna tell viewers what it's like to dedicate time to fighting games in comparison to other genre of games. And of course, we're going to try to give advice on how to properly tackle improving and grinding in fighting games in particular. And from our experience, we are going to help you guys figure out how to process any thoughts that you have when you play fighting games. Okay, so Risa, first question I'd like to put on the table. Would you say you play fighting games more than any other genre?
I wouldn't say yes because I play MOBAs more than fighting games. I think fighting games is my second most played genre. But in comparison, I play MOBA like too much, so I play a lot of fighting games as a second genre that I really am into it. I just play MOBA more, but fighting games is definitely on the second place of the genre of games I play a lot. Especially Tekken, because in context, I lap Tekken at least 1 to 2 hours a day, regularly.
And how would you define regularly? Like every day, every other day?
Every day or at least once every 2 days.
Wow, okay, so at least every week you would say that you have a labbing session maybe 4 to 5 times a week?
Yep.
At least, right?
At least.
But let's say
But it's mostly just execution.
Okay, but let's say during peak Tekken content, like when there's a new patch, you're probably doing that every day, I'm assuming.
Yep, I'm just wanna learn the new tech. If a character that I want, I mean, I have a patch note or have an update, I usually just lab them, like, what's the optimal thing to do, what's the frame trap, what's the setup, blah blah blah. But if there's a new update, right, and then there's no characters that I play get hit by the update, I just learn by queuing into quick match and learn by heart instead of labbing by numbers.
And what would you say is the longest time you've spent labbing? Not necessarily a character, but like when I say lab, you don't even go competitive or ranked player matches. You just do nothing, go to training mode.
I think 2 hours is enough because, in my opinion, if I lab a character and then I get past 2 hours mark, I think I'm more burnt out than learning. Like, I just like it to take slow, small steps, but efficiently. So I don't really burn out in one day. I take rest, I take breaks every 2 hours. So I keep going back to the lab with a fresher mind. Like a fresh mindset.
Okay.
Because sometimes labbing is frustrating. Like, labbing BF2 pegwef is frustrating if you fail again and again. Sometimes you need to take a breather, calm down, eat something, and then go back to the lab and try it again.
Of course, to be fair, I mean, labbing something as high execution as that can be frustrating. And of course, when you lab, sometimes, like, again, we will explain this later. When we say lab, it's not as simple as going to training mode and practicing a character. Because, like, for Risa, when she labs, for example, again, it's not exclusive to just this, but she would lab Kazuya's DF2 counter hit into a perfect electric, and that is very execution heavy. But there are also some people who would lab for info and not for execution. Like, hypothetical, Risa would try to see what's the best way to punish a blocked flash punch combo, for example. That's just really information and not execution, but it's still labbing. So yeah, we'll get to that. Do I play fighting games more than any other genre? I would say even before, not so much. Not really. But in terms of like cumulative hours over the years of playing video games, I'd say it's the most played genre I have ever played, I would say.
Yep, same. Same for me.
Like, my first game may not have been a fighting game, but one of the games that I've played for a really long time, like in one sitting, excluding recent games, because recent games are designed to be that way, I would have to say fighting games for sure. And this was even back when... This was before the whole renaissance of fighting games and before Street Fighter 4 Evo. I was still very much knee-deep in fighting games, but I was very casual. So yes, even as a casual, like, I considered fighting games to be more played than any other genre at that time. Okay, and next question, Risa, do you play more than one fighting game?
For now, no. I only play Tekken 7 because it's like one of my favorite, most beloved fighting games. So I just want to get better and better at that game, like over time. Like every time I fight a new person on my Twitch, for example, and I lost, or I have like low win rate, I just love the character that my enemy beat me to it. So I just invest like all my time into Tekken. But I do want to try more fighting games, but I think for my explanation on why don't I, that's for another topic, because I have my reasons. But yeah, for now I just play Tekken 7.
Okay, fair. But what would you say is another game that like is on your list of like, I need to try out this fighting game alongside Tekken?
DNF Duel.
Wow, that is something I did not expect. Why DNF Duel?
Because it's easy to get into. I enjoyed Grand Blue Fantasy Versus so much because how simple it is.
Yeah.
When I play Strife, there's like Roman Cancel, there's like Perfect Guard, there's like Dust Loop or something, whatever. It's kind of confused me. So I want to get into something of more simple execution fighting games. That's why I chose DNF. Because when I see DNF, I think all you need is like footsies most of the time. I could be wrong, but I don't know.
Well, well, as someone who has played DNF Duel, I wouldn't say it is execution heavy because everyone's input is practically the same. And when I mean the same, like, in terms of like specials, it really is the same. Everyone is doing a quarter circle forward, a quarter circle back, and a DP motion for their specials. And that's for all characters. So it's not like in traditional fighting games, at least 2D fighting games, where some people have a negative edge, some people have half circle input, a reverse TP input, double directional inputs like down down or up up, something like that. Tiger knee inputs. None so far, none of that in DNF Duel, but of course, to make up for the simple controls, the complexity of the game is really in the knowledge checks and the footsies, in my opinion.
I think that applies on any fighting game.
In
right?
any fighting game, yes. But
I don't really mind.
particularly for DNF Duel, because like I said, and I think a lot of people who played DNF Duel can agree that in terms of execution and picking a game up and playing it, DNF Duel is definitely one of the easier ones. Especially, again, because the inputs are practically the same for every character. But surprisingly, just like any fighting game, you will need to lab. Labbing is a very essential part of fighting games.
Coming from Tekken.
Yes.
Coming from Tekken, labbing is like, yep, that's my daily rice and egg.
More so in Tekken because, like, on average, doesn't every character have like 50 to 70 moves?
Yep, every character has like 1 million moves.
And even if we were to just take the best moves, that's still about 12 or 10 moves that you have to lab.
Exactly.
Yep, but that's just Tekken. That's just Tekken. Okay. For the second question, do I play more than one fighting game? Well, yes, absolutely I do. But Tekken still beats every other fighting game in my library in terms of playtime. And even before Guilty Gear Strive, DNF Duel, KOF 15, Street Fighter 5, Tekken was practically the only fighting game I've played. If there was one fighting game that came close to beating it, it's probably Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Because I did play a lot of that. Because
I love watching that.
Yeah, I know, right? Even though it's busted. Even though it's a busted tag game. But yeah, I was a huge fan of MVC 2. And it was one of the games that really made me bond with my brother. But yeah, sad to say that I'm not playing MVC anytime soon, and Capcom hasn't said much about the future of that franchise, so we're just gonna have to wait for now. But yeah, I do play other fighting games, and I mean, it's easier said than done, but it's not as difficult to do so. But it's not as easy as, say, juggling multiple MOBAs or multiple FPSs, because the concept is still pretty much the same across the board. I mean, for FPSs, your goal is to aim accurately and click heads. Very easy. For MOBAs, it's mastering the control and knowledge of your hero or champion and teamwork, essentially. But for fighting games, although the concept is the same, reduce your opponent's health to 0, getting there and the dynamic of a fighting game makes it very unique across all games. Like, to some extent, you can play Tekken, Guilty Gear... you can play Guilty Gear the way you play Tekken, you can play Tekken the way you play Street Fighter, but that much can only help you some... like, that kind of experience you have in one fighting game can only help you so much. You will definitely have to adapt to other fighting games if you give them a try. Like, I wanna ask Risa, when you tried Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, did it feel a bit weird switching from...
No, in terms of Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, I really enjoyed the switch. I really enjoy the flow of the game of Grand Blue Fantasy Versus more than Strife, but that's me. Because in Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, the footsies feels more important than air dashing.
True.
Like, yes, there's air dashing in Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, but it's not much. It's more footsie and whiff punishing. So my Tekken knowledge in Grand Blue Versus is actually used more in that game compared to Strife, because I don't need to perfect guard or air dash or like double jump and stuff like that.
True,
So,
and for someone who has played...
I really enjoy Grand Blue.
And I mean, have you ever heard of the term the Street Fighter shimmy?
Yes,
Yeah,
the shimmy, the small step into
moving back and
thing.
forth
Yep,
practically in
moving back
place.
and forth, the
And I'm
shimmy,
like, I'm
and with
pretty sure a
data whip.
Tekken player
Mhm.
will just be like, hey, that's our footsies right there.
Exactly. That's
Like,
why when I enter Street Fighter, I do decent as well because
yeah,
it's used there.
because more so in high level Tekken matches, people are moving more than they are doing anything else, to be honest. Because again, it's not even because it was designed that way, but because of Tekken's unique design of no panic button. Just about every fighting game has a panic button. Street Fighter has the V
PP.
gauge
Mm-hmm.
or
And
DPs.
PP.
Guilty Gear and Blaze Blue has the burst. Recently, Grand Blue versus did add a burst. DNF Duel and KOF 15 have their own respective defensive mechanics you can activate using your meter. But because Tekken has no meter, or even if it did with Akuma, Eliza, and Keys, there is literally no true defensive option in terms of like pressing a button.
All you have is down jab.
You're only, yeah, that's the neutral oh shit button, but like even
Mm-hmm.
that has flaws. The range is shit, and even though it's a mid, it can be blocked low, and therefore it
Yep.
can be low parried. But other than that, that's really the unique design of Tekken. There is no panic button when you get hit, and one optimal combo can literally take half your health. And that's even on stages with no walls even. Which is why like whenever I see the Street Fighter shimmy, I'm just reminded, yep, this is something I can get into and this is something exciting for me. And a lot of people have criticized Tekken for being so boring to watch because all people do is just move forward, Korean backdash, wave, and I'm just
Yep.
like, oh dear, if you didn't know the ramifications of why their movement has to be on point, you're missing out.
Oh yeah, because one launch will murder you. I mean, half your health, most
Yes,
likely. That's why
absolutely.
Tekken Noodles is super fun.
Yep, and I would say also like, uh, I mean, one mistake is all it takes for you to screw up, like a Tekken match, and not to say that that doesn't happen in other fighting games, but it's really more so in Tekken. And to be fair, I don't think people are wrong when they say it is boring because outside looking in, it is boring.
Yeah,
Because it's
like
a fighting game, and where is the fighting? All I see is moving. They're not wrong. But I would
not
say
well.
also that they just don't appreciate the nuances of having movement that precise and that fast. I mean take how do I say it? Take I'm not criticizing or anything, but take golf for example. Like as a sport,
Ah,
those who really know golf will appreciate the sport a lot. But for those who are just watching it for the first time, the most likely like think it's a snooze fest. But again, that's outside looking in. And when you take people's criticisms about games, be it whatever kind of game, you still have to try to look at it from their perspective. And I mean, even within our own fighting game community, we criticize other fighting games as well. I mean, there are some other fighting game enthusiasts that play other fighting games and say, yeah, Tekken is boring. There are some people in the Tekken FGC that like, yeah, this is stupid and busted and this is boring. So yeah, like,
yeah, it happens on every genre.
yeah, it happens in every
Anyway.
genre, and I think moving forward, we really need to look at both perspectives, or um, look at the perspective of another person, especially since fighting games are now becoming mainstream. Like, it's actually cool. Like, fighting games are actually much more accessible, so more people are playing it. But not everyone understands immediately a fighting game, and fighting games are usually the most Um,
Grindiest?
Not grindiest. It's
No?
the most difficult, complicated genre to get into, I would say.
Fair.
Yeah.
That's true, yeah. Fighting games is more complicated than MOBAs. Even.
Oh yeah, I agree with that one.
Very, very.
Okay. Next question. Do you participate in fighting game tournaments?
I actually haven't because me personally, I never really liked tournaments. Like, I have like a bad history on joining tournaments. It was a MOBA tournament though, and my first tournament experience was not good. So I just refuse to join tournaments nowadays. But I do low-key interested, but I never really enter fighting game tournaments at all because my bad history on competitive scenes. How about you, Inari?
Mm, I think I've only participated in like 2 fighting game tournaments, and they were very small local ones. And this was when I was just your typical fighting game enthusiast. Like, I wasn't really quote unquote labbing, but I just really enjoyed the hell out of fighting games. And I guess also, like, at the time I was very intimidated by the whole fighting game tournament energy. Like, yeah, it's cool watching it, seeing people pop off, the the comebacks, the clutches, the mistakes. Oof. It's exciting,
Yep.
but when you're in their shoes, trying to imagine yourself in their shoes, it's something else. So yeah,
Imagine
even
yourself as the one with punished or like, you know,
yeah.
kind of painful, I think.
Yeah, I mean, could you imagine if you had your Washige moment?
Exactly.
You wanna how do you
Getting-
even get off the stage after that, right? It's like you wanna look for the closest hole, crawl in, and try to imagine that never happened.
Yep, that's basically why I'm afraid of like, competitive scenes. I don't want to, you know, perform. What do you call it? Tilt, I guess. Tilt on stage. And then it haunts me after the tournament and stuff like that. Because, yeah,
I mean,
because you have stakes. You have stakes. Like, you have
yeah.
something to lose. It's not just binary numbers of ranks. It's actual prize. But more pressure to me.
Well, again, that's why I even asked. That's why I asked the Foxtrots in the first place. Do you guys want me to participate in Rev Major? And they want me to, so I'm like, okay. They want me to, so I'll fucking do it. But yeah, I always enjoyed watching tournaments. That's the closest I've ever gotten to participating in a tournament.
Same.
And
I enjoy being a viewer.
yeah, I enjoy being a viewer as well, but I always like dream of going up on stage, even just for one match. Even if I get O2'd by Ni or any other fighting game, Tekken Pro, I honestly don't mind. I just want to know what it's like to be up there. Because honestly, I don't mind losing. I mean, losing is part of the experience. You cannot have a perfect record. No matter how good you are, you're never gonna have a perfect record unless you're cheating.
I don't mind at all. I don't mind losing, but I'm afraid of choking.
I know, right?
Choking is super scary.
But think of it this way, Risa. Don't choke as hard as Washige. I think that is the lowest of the lowest chokes, I would say.
I think that's just miscounting moment. Yeah, but yeah, that's the biggest choke. I'll forget. Still have a round to play. Painful.
Like, he got caught up in the comeback that he forgot. Wait, there's one more round. And again, like, Ogawa did take opportunity there. A lot of people can argue if that was the right thing or the wrong thing to do, but when you look at the stakes,
Yeah, in my standpoint, he did the right thing. It's a competition.
it's a competition. I mean, at the end of the day, would you rather be called an opportunistic prick or a dumbass? I mean,
Yeah,
it's really up to you.
there's no wrong answers.
And I
mean,
don't
there's no
know
right
what.
answers.
Yeah, I mean, there is only the answer you'll regret the least, I would say. I mean, there's some people that are like, oh yeah, I would rather be called a dumbass and potentially losing because I was being more sportsmanlike. Like, yes, kudos. But there are others who are like, no, he committed a mistake. I'd be an idiot not to take opportunity of that mistake. And especially when a title and money is on the line, like.
Yeah, the travel fee is not free.
That too.
I need that travel money.
That too, yeah. This was Evo of all things. It wasn't like some local Japanese tournament or anything. It was a big thing.
It was Evo.
Okay.
That's why, like, if it's local, then sure.
Yeah.
I can be sportsman, but this is Evo.
It's Evo, yeah. Okay, do you play fighting games on a gamepad or a fight stick / hitbox?
I play on a hitbox. I started in the arcade, and then I didn't like the...
Your mic cut off for a bit.
Okay, is it fine now?
Yeah.
Okay, so... Long story from games in the arcades, right? I enjoy the buttons, but I don't enjoy the lever. So... Back then, I was thinking maybe a keyboard will fit me. Then I play on a keyboard. Whenever I buy a fighting game on a PC, I just play on a keyboard. And then I discovered hitbox exists, and this is like playing on a keyboard. And then that's how I decided I love playing on a hitbox. So my answer is hitbox. I play on hitbox because I started from keyboard back in the days in old fighting games.
So you
I find it really easy playing in keyboard than pad or lever.
Wow. That's quite rare. That's a very rare take. I mean, like, personally, I started on Tekken 3, and I only had a controller back then. I mean, fight sticks back then were even rare.
It's not accessible.
Not accessible at very least, of course. Especially because, what? Arcades were still a big thing, and fight sticks for console, you'd need a specific one. It's not like everything runs on a USB port like today. That wasn't the thing back then.
Times changed.
Times have changed, indeed they have. But as for playing fighting games, I play on both a fight stick and a gamepad. The only fighting game I play on a fight stick is Tekken. I need that. But for 2D games, mostly I play gamepad. And I plan to play Street Fighter 6 on a gamepad. Now the reason I asked this, would you say that a fight stick or a hitbox is essential for playing a fighting game?
No. You can play fighting games in any controller you want. Like keyboard, pad, like hitbox, whatever. I mean, for God's sake, someone in Evo played it on a steering wheel. So, I don't think.
Also, in this year's Evo, somebody played with the chainsaw controller from Lollipop Chainsaw.
From Lollipop Chainsaw. Like 5 years ago, there's a steering wheel.
It's tournament legal.
Doesn't matter what's your controller. There's no rules on controller. Like, there's no advantage. I mean, there is.
Yeah, but whichever is comfortable for you, if the tournament allows it, I think that's more important. I mean, it's odd if someone is a keyboard fighting game player, but hey, if it's comfortable for them, then good for them. But of course, like, not playing with conventional peripherals does pose a huge disadvantage because how do I say this? Most fighting games in tournaments, especially the big ones, are played on a PS4 console or a PS5. And not many keyboards are, shall we say, compatible with a console. You might need a specific one. And just like any controller or fight stick, everyone has their preferences. Some people like heavy game pads, some people like light ones. For fight sticks, some people prefer the crown lever, some people prefer the ball lever. Some people like very heavy ones that they put on their lap, some people like light ones. So there's a lot of preferences and needs between each player, and trying to take into account for all is practically impossible. And the worst part is that, again, most if not all fighting game tournaments run on PS4 consoles because, one, consoles are a lot easier to set up. Yep, set up and acquire. Because obviously, a PC that can play Tekken 7 or the latest fighting games, not exactly what I would say cheap.
Yep, it's not ideal to find like 200 high-end PCs.
Yeah, like, getting one is one thing. Getting several is another. Because everyone has a console, but not everyone has a gaming PC. Again, we have to specify gaming PC. Office PC and gaming PCs are two different things.
Oh boy, imagine playing Tekken 7 as an office PC.
You may as well just play on the console if that were a thing. If that were the case, rather. Okay, last question for part 1 before we move to intermission. So, on average, how many characters do you play and how long do you spend on each?
Okay, so in any fighting game, I always pick 2 characters. One main and one sub. I mean, pocket pick, whatever you call it. But I usually just, in any new fighting game, if I get into it, I usually just spend like 3, 4, 5 hours for first impressions. If I like the character or not. And then after that, I'll just take it slower. Like maybe 1 hour, 2 hours slapping per day. Learn the tech, starting from BNB and then setups and then frame traps. I like to take like 1 session a day so I don't really get exhausted or burnt out again. So I just learn things slowly, taking my time. I don't need to be like a day 1, understand it all player. Usually I take
fair.
like 1 week until...
Usually
I take 1 week.
What would you say is the longest you've spent on trying a character before you said, yep, this is the character for me? Or like, no, not feeling it? Like, what's the longest time you've spent on a character? Deciding if they are worth it or not.
I think picking a character takes me around 4 to 5 hours. I need to do like their combo challenges first, and then their setups. If I can't do it consistently in like 2 hours, I don't feel butterflies inside me when I execute it. I just drop it, you know? Like that sensation inside you, like, oh, I just did that, I'm so happy. Instead of like, oh, I finally did it, fuck this character, you know? It's a different feeling.
Okay, can you give me an example of...
different feeling.
Can you give me an example of the 2 characters? Like the character where you're like, oh my god, that felt so good. And a character that you're like, okay, I did this combo, fuck this character.
Okay, that's like the moment recently. You remember when I learned Akuma, right?
Yeah.
Doing the F2 peg wave with Kazuya or like wave dash into instant while standing 2 consistently felt like, oh, I'm so happy. I did it. Finally, I can do it online, blah,
the time
blah,
where I
right?
did tell you about the DF14 counter hit.
Yep, it's so happy. It's so fun to do.
Yeah.
And then when I play Akuma, I did the down jab into Shoryuken exploit combo and geese the state. I did it. on training mode. And then when I did it, all I feel like, fuck this character, I won't do this again, ever again, but I did it. That's that's my tipping point of like, this isn't my character. I just want to execute this once to see if I can do it, and then I'm never gonna touch it again because I hate executing it. It doesn't feel good. It just makes my finger tired, and I don't have any sense of satisfaction. I can't explain the feeling, but you probably know the feeling of that. Like, do you have a character like that? Like, you finally complete the challenge and then you don't feel good about it. You just feel satisfaction that it's over.
Well, for me, like, when you said it takes 4 to 5 hours to grasp if a character is your feel or not, you want to take a guess how long it takes me?
I guess 3.
Yeah, 3 to 5 hours.
Quickest.
3 to
But
5
yeah.
hours, yeah.
Yeah.
You want to take a guess?
Alright. How about it?
Yeah.
6. 1 day?
Half an hour.
Nah. Half an hour.
Half an hour. Because I am of the mindset, and this is a very strict mindset I have, it's not just for characters, but for games. If I am not having fun within the first half hour, something's wrong.
Yeah, I know, but
I
there's,
don't,
like,
I do,
this
like, I
feeling.
understand,
Okay, continue.
I understand the mentality of like, it gets better after 2 hours. I'm like,
Yes, that's it.
that's not bad, but why do I have to wait for 2 hours to have fun? I don't get it.
I swear it gets better at 3 hours.
I'm like, I spent $40 to $60 to have fun. Why do I have to wait for 2 hours for my $60 to be worth it? There are other games that do that in less time for free. that's my mentality. So it applies to fighting games as well. If I am labbing a character for 30 minutes to 1 hour and I'm not having fun, I immediately drop them. I just immediately drop them. And if there's one character I would say that shines the most when, like in your case, it was doing DF2 counter hits into peg lifts, right? With Kazuya, you're like, yes, this feels so good. I feel like a god. I am Evo ready. like you feel unstoppable, right?
In the bag.
Yeah. In the bag. For you, that's Kazuya, right? I would say for me, I have to enumerate in each game I've played, I think. But for me, for Tekken, I would have to say it's Kazumi and King. Doing Kazumi's largest damage combo, which is off of forward 4, and that's only on male characters because it's almost impossible to do on female characters because of the nerf to forward 3-2. The 2 part doesn't give us much vertical distance mid combo anymore, which is really sad. I would have preferred they lowered the damage but kept the vertical distance. I think that would have been fine. That would have been better as a nerf. And they could have made it jab punishable too. That's also fine. That's totally fine. But other than that, like, yeah, doing that combo as well as King's instant Shining Wizard in the air after counter hit forward 1 or sidestep 2. Yeah, that was like, oh my god, it feels so good being able to do an instant Shining Wizard after that. Because not only is not only is the execution very tricky, but like it's the difference between ending a round and potentially choking a round. Because if you end with just forward 2-1 or giant swing in the air, you're missing out on at least like what, 3-5 damage if it's the giant swing, and then about 20 or 15-ish if you do forward 2-1 instead. But of course, there are situations where you'd rather do 2-1, forward 2-1. Like, if you want the wall carry, then hell yes, do it. But on wall-less stages, you really want to make sure you can do instant Shining Wizard or at least giant swing in the air. But being able to practice that and do it consistently, oh my god, it's so good. It feels so good. How long did it take you to be able to do Duff 2 Pegwef with Kazuya? How long?
I have no idea, but I think
Estimating
I started in
months.
Tekken 5.
Yeah.
One franchise. Tekken 5 to 6. So how long is that?
Wow. Hmm. I
I mean,
yeah, to be fair, Main
just-
Man Sui did mention that it takes months to be able to chain like what?
yeah, it takes
10 electrics in a row, right and left side. And that's just electrics. It takes months to do that consistently. And then if you want consistent peg wefs, that's at least a year. At least a year.
Yep. So, it took me more than a year.
But hey, you can do it. You're one of the rare Kazuyas that can actually do that. So yeah, kudos.
Yeah, it feels good.
It feels like, hella good. Right?
With finishing a job using electric is crazy fun.
Or
I feel like if I pull that off, I feel like, damn, I could have won a ref here.
Yeah, should. But let's see, for me, I think it took me about 3 to 5 months to learn how to instant Shining Wizard with King. And I only seriously practiced that Tekken 7. Like, you could have done that as early as Tekken 5 when they introduced air grabs, but yeah, I only started that in Tekken 7. That's so, Tekken 7 was really when I started playing fighting games a lot more seriously. So for Risa, the character who's like, yeah, I did the hardest combo, but fuck this character, is Akuma. For me, I would have to say, again, this is not easy because like I usually drop them in a heartbeat and forget about them altogether. But I would say, shit, hang on. Oh, Feng Wei. This was before they gave him the new combo finisher, which is the down forward 4-2 1+2 thing. Yeah.
3 or something.
No, that's the tailspin. I'm talking about the
the wall ender?
The combo ender, yeah. Down forward 4-3 is a mid-high tailspin. It's very optimal. It's also a wall carry. But yeah, before that, you had to learn how to dash forward 3-4 without misinputting it into forward 3, which is the stomp. So yeah, like, oh good lord. But for other fighting games where I enjoyed doing like after labbing them for 30 minutes to an hour, and I'm like, yep, this is the character for me. For Street Fighter, it was definitely in Street Fighter 5, it was Akira and then Kami and also Karen, because Karen has a very electric like move.
Oh yeah, the uppercut.
The instant palm, yeah, the instant palm.
Yep, the instant palm.
She even says Doria. I'm like, hey, this is awesome. Yeah, so there's that. And then for Guilty Gear, not including the DLCs, I would say Millia and Ino. Doing combos with them feels so good. But like for entire franchise, I would say Baiken. Doing combos with Baiken feels so goddamn good. Especially because they added more weight to her combos and her kit in Strive. Woo. And I'm like, oh, they gave Baiken a gun, thank you. A gun super. Yay! Okay, that is the end of part 1. We're going to go for a 5-minute intermission. Now again, Foxtrots, if there is anything you want to ask me or Risa related to the topic of the fighting game grind, please do not hesitate to ask in stream chat. Whew. Would you say you are excited for Street Fighter 6? Do you plan on picking it up on day 1?
I am, because there's Ed.
There is?
I think there's Ed.
Ed.
As the boxing guy. Because that's my main on SF5.
Oh, Ed.
Because he's easy to play. And he's really footsie.
He's really
Of
footsie.
course.
I mean, it's Street Fighter. The Street Fighter shimmy is very footsie in nature. But yeah, like, when Blue told me that his friend who's been a Smash Bros player for like the longest time said that I think Street Fighter 6 is my first serious fighting game, Blue was so excited. And yeah, like, Street Fighter 6 just looks so beautiful. I gotta say, it looks hella beautiful.
Yeah, I like the way that they changed the bar system into like everything is shared on one bar.
Yeah.
It looks neat.
And basically your defense is also your offense in terms of like bar.
Yep.
Which I think is a good trade-off.
So there's no like four different bars like in Unist or like
good lord.
I don't know, I think Unist, Persona, and Melty have like 3 bars, 3 different bars, 4. I was like, what the heck are these bars? I'm not gonna try this.
Yeah. Man, seeing Street Fighter 6 though in terms of like the graphics, it makes me so excited for Get Ready.
Yep.
I mean,
I'm so excited on like new mechanics. Please add like weird mechanics. Not
like,
Rage Art though. Remove that.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't mind if they kept Rage Art, but they definitely need to change it up a bit.
I guess.
For Get Ready. I think Rage Art I think Rage Art properties need to be a lot more universal, I think. I mean, it's quite difficult for me to explain right now, but I mean, when I say properties, when they hit, not when they're blocked. Like, I mean, you can still keep special properties, like, for example, Alisa, Steve, and Jin having high rage arts that are safe on block. And then you have the weird ones like Geese, where it's a mid, but it's a unblockable rage art, but you can duck. And that is unless he uses Deadly Rave, then that one you just block and then punish. But I mean, there are some rage arts where they end with the opponent like face down. And sometimes your distance from them is not the same. And there are some rage arts that come out a lot faster than other ones. Like, for example, Steve, it comes out a lot faster than so many other rage arts. And also, I think to make it more balanced, I think the damage needs to be fixed. Because there are some rage arts that are just plain shit, like King. Especially if you use it mid-combo. It's just, the damage is just straight up shit. Because in so many situations, if you were to use Jin's rage art and then King's rage art, like, I'm more confident than that a Jin rage art would kill me than a King rage art. So yeah, I think rage arts still need to be balanced for sure.
Yeah, it's so clunky right now.
It is quite clunky.
It's like some characters have a win button or some characters have like a useless button.
I think an ideal solution is to take out rage arts but keep rage drives.
Yeah, I just want rage drive in the game.
Rage drive is
more fair.
Yeah, rage drives are more fair in my opinion because you can still jab someone out of a rage drive if they time it wrong. And if it doesn't have jab crush or high crush properties, you can still jab someone out. Like, so many times as Kazumi, I have been jabbed out of my rage drive, and so many times as Kazumi, I have jabbed people out of the rage drives.
Yeah, that's the fun part of rage drive, honestly.
It's not just press a button, you immediately win the trade. There is like there is a mind game to a rage drive. But for rage art, if you see someone do a slice kick and you react in time and you have enough health, you're gonna win right off the bat.
Yep, it's way too rewarding for a
because
super armor.
It has happened before. Do you remember that that match between Ni and no, sorry, it was between either John Ding and Kudans. I think it was John Ding versus Kudans, and this was.
Oh yeah, it was.
John Ding was still on Jack.
Imogen versus something.
Jack.
Yep.
It was still Jack. He was doing a mid, high, high, high string, but because the gap between the mid and the high was long enough for him to input Rage Art, he just reacted to that and then boom, he won. Like, yeah, clutch AF, but guess what? You can't do that with a Rage Drive. You will trade and you will lose. And he didn't have any health either, and he needed that for the time. Like, yeah, it's a shame we won't get moments like that, but it's a lot more fair in my opinion.
Yeah. Rage Art is more like, okay, in my take, I think Rage Art is more like good for viewers.
Yeah, it is good for viewers. I mean, it was the same argument that people had for Street Fighter V. The intentional input delay was better for viewers because players were playing a lot riskier. But it was bad for the players because they had to play riskier. They had to literally see into the future. Will this crouch medium kick hit? They had to, like, regardless, like, if I have to gamble, I have to confirm into a special or else I get nothing. But that's boring if you didn't do that. It was boring if all you saw was crouching medium kicks, crouching light punch, or, you know. But that's the conundrum that fighting games has. It can be very, like, if it's better for the players, it's not gonna be as good for the audience. If it's better for the audience and the viewers, it's not gonna be as good for the players. But hopefully,
I think is best of both worlds.
Sorry, what?
I think Arxis Games is good for both players and viewers, like Strive.
Yeah, definitely is.
Nice to play, nice to watch. They did it right.
Yep, and hopefully, and moving forward, I hope more games can do that. More fighting games can.
I hope more games can do that. I don't know about DNF duels though. Like, is it fun for the player and viewer?
Well, I'm even with all the bullshit on each character, I'm having so much fun with it.
Yeah, I'm having so much fun watching as well. It's not like I want to play it, but its price tag is way too high.
It's way too... yeah, I would agree. The price tag is way too high for what you are getting. Like, I would say, even as much as I have problems with Strive, I would still recommend Strive over DNF Duel for the price tag. But if I were to... If price was not an issue, and they had the budget, so they have the budget, I would say DNF Duel over Strive. It's a lot easier to pick up. It's more fun. And that's pretty much it. It's a lot more fun and it's a lot easier to pick up. And the bullshit is not, like, unique. Like, it's not fixed on a few characters. Every character has their bullshit. Like, Hitman has his bullshit, Striker has her bullshit, Kunoichi has her bullshit. Everyone has their bullshit. So,
and I heard, like, there's one bullshit. It's called the Swiftmaster.
Yeah. Quitmaster. Quitmaster, not Swiftmaster. Quitmaster.
Oh yeah, swiftly quit the game.
Yeah, well, swiftly quit if you are Swiftmaster and it's not working for you, or you fight the Swiftmaster. So yeah, Quitmaster. Like, did you see that clip of Blue?
Yep, like first ranked game of the day. Opening
first ranked game of the day. First round. It's not even the match. It was the first round. Blue won one round and then he quit. I'm like, oh my god. Oh my god. But yeah.
That was a fun clip.
It was a funny
clip. I'm glad I watched it live.
I was there too. I was live. I was prepping for a stream, but I was like, oh my god, is Blue crying? He was crying, but because it was so funny. Oh my god. One of his more like, man, I don't know if I want to cry out of frustration or because it's so funny, so he just did both. Alright, that's it for intermission here. We are now in part 2. This is the meatier part of the topic where we will now be delving into the, like, the center of the topic. So, Risa, what goes through your mind when you lab or practice fighting games?
What what do I have in mind?
Yeah, like what's your thought
Well, it
process?
depends on like
Mhm.
it depends on my what currently I'm lapping. Like if I just get beaten up by a jack for some reason. For an example, I just lab like, okay, how can I punish these 5 moves that they keep spamming me online?
Mm.
I want to punish them if I meet with them again in the next session
Mm.
and, take my revenge, take my run back.
Mm.
That's what my thought process is. And if I learn execution, my thought process on learning new characters, essential and fundamental, is like, I want to do this blindfolded. I want to do this combo blindfolded or like only by sound to develop my muscle memory.
Mm.
So usually when I lab a combo, like a bread and butter,
Mm.
after like 15 to 20 minutes of execution, I just try to close my eyes and do it again and see if I did it based on the damage dealt. Like, oh, I can do this blindfolded, so that means I can do this online, and then I'll try it online after that. So it's like I want to develop muscle memory if I lab.
Mm. So usually when you lab, you have like a goal, an objective already.
Yeah, I have a goal. Like, I want to learn this character. I need to do combo A. I need to do it with my eyes closed, and I need to do it online. That's the goal.
Okay.
And if I'm labbing punishments, I need to see. I need to familiarize. I need to familiarize this animation, this specific animation for my opponent, so I know what's coming. Like, what mix-up can he do from this string? Like, how to punish each string, and what's the sound cue of it? Like, when I face Dragunov, what sound does he make when he's doing Snake Edge? Or like the other mix-up of Snake Edge cancel into grab? Like, everything. Audio cue, visual cue. That's my mindset. Like, I need to learn the front and the back of the move. That frustrates me.
Would you say most of your labbing sessions is for matchups or for your own character?
Most of my labbing sessions is for matchups I
For
got
matchups.
destroyed with. Yep. Like, I won't lab a character matchup if I do like 3-2 or like 3-3, but I will lab a matchup if I go like 0-2 or 0-5, like, that means I have no idea. But if I go like online and then I face an enemy and I just go like 3-2, that means like, oh, I can learn this character on the spot. Like, I'm already familiar enough. I just need the reaction for each move in real time because I know what I did wrong. So I only lab an opponent if I get wrecked, basically. I don't actually lab each character by myself because I don't lab Yoshimitsu because I never meet any Yoshimitsu, so I don't need to lab Yoshimitsu like that, I'm like more selective on my labbing, so it's more time efficient. Like, why would I need to lab Yoshimitsu if I never meet him like in a span of 2 weeks?
Fair enough. Interesting. Well, for me, whenever I lab or practice, even if it's not Tekken, it's usually just to get a better feel for my character. I don't really practice or lab for matchups. Like, whenever people ask me, like, whenever I do a move as Kazumi, especially when I do moves as Kazumi, is that punishable? I'm like, you think I know if this move is punishable? You think I know? I don't know. I just have a feel for it.
That's me when I play grapplers. Like, how to break this grab? I don't even know.
I don't know. And like, again, whenever I forgot who said it. I think it was Shiko who said it. Like, I am a heart player, and I embrace that identity. I am a heart player. I am not a frame player. Do you really?
Same.
really think I know how plus or minus I am on some of my moves? I only know some. Like, I know that
Yeah.
for forward 1, while running 1 for Kazumi, I know I'm plus 7. That's all I know. But for the other moves, I don't know how plus I am. That's why whenever Sheikah hits me with down back 3, he's like, I'm plus 3! Why are you still You think I know that you're plus 3? You think I know that you're plus 3?
Exactly.
I don't know.
Like,
I'm just gonna press buttons if I feel like it's gonna hit.
Yep, that's basically fighting games.
Yeah, like,
I mean, okay, in my standpoint, I think in labbing your own character, it's more important to know where you are plus than where are you minus. Because plus frames is more important to know than minus. In essential labbing, at least. I mean, minus is important, like, like which move is unsafe, but that's for fundamental stuff. That's for later. First, you need to know like which move is safe and plus, so you know how to apply pressure to newer players.
Yep. I mean, yeah, I think even for a hard player, I know which of my moves are safe. I know that Duff 1 is safe. I know that Fly 2 is not safe anymore. I know that the jab string is something you can sidestep or duck, obviously. While standing 4-4 on Kazumi, you can duck the second because it's a mid-high, not a high-high. Like, it's good to know that, but that is not something that I actively, like, lab against, especially for moves that, for characters I don't play. But there are just... If you play a game long enough, especially Tekken, you know when moves are unsafe or if the move ends in a high. Like, for example, Brian, you may not have labbed him ever. But because you fought against Brian several times and gotten hit by some of his strings, you're like, oh, I think that ends in a high. Eventually, you're gonna duck the second move. The second move in that string, and you're like, oh, it is a high that I can duck.
Yeah, my mindset in Tekken as well, like, if there's a long string and the last hit is safe, I always think there's no way this is a mid. This must be a high. Because there's no way a strong this long is safe on block.
Yep. If it's safe on block, there is something in that string you can do. I mean, look at Kazuya's 1-2-4-3 string. It is safe on block. And it's...
but there's like a small gap you can jab.
Or, better yet, low parry. You can low parry the 4.
Oh, junkyard as well. That damn junkyard law.
Junkyard.
What's the command input?
Yeah, back 2-4-3. Yeah, back to... Oh no, back...
Yeah, back 2-4-3. Yep.
No, back 2-3-4 because there's a Dragon Tail variant that's down 4. So yeah, back to 3-4. Yeah.
Yeah, that thing.
Yep. Also, Shaolin spin kicks. They're all highs. You can duck that.
Yep.
So yeah. And I mean, look at Josie. Other than her 1+4, and other than down forward 4, most if not all of her stance transitions are duckable. 1+4 is duckable. 1-2-4, 2-4 is duckable because it's a high. But down forward 4 for Josie is a mid. It puts her in stance. But yeah, everything else is duckable because like you're like, no way can she easily access the stance without repercussions, right?
Yeah, there's no way. Yeah.
Well, in some situations, she can. And that's when she hits you with a clean 2-4 out of a punish, perhaps, then yeah, you have to respect the stance. But otherwise, no, you can duck. You should duck, rather. And yep, it can be something you will study, but it's something you eventually pick up. When you fight a character or a matchup long enough. Of course, labbing it will make it a lot more intuitive, and it will get drilled in your head, and you'll form a habit out of it a lot smoother and faster. But it is also a lot less stressful if you just learn to pick up on any info checks or knowledge checks that you have during your matches. And in my opinion, what's more important in fighting games is that whenever you lose, make sure you learn something. If you learn something on a loss, then it's not a complete loss.
Yep.
That's my opinion.
It's just your download phase.
Yep.
It's just like your download phase. You can come back like after 3 matches of losses. If you learn something, you can like run it back into like another 3 in a row. And
I mean,
it
that
happens to
really
me
late night sesh against you. I lost a lot, but I did also learn a lot.
Yep. You learn like my setups and stuff, armor king setups.
Yeah,
And
I
I
mean, the armor king setup,
retaliate better.
the armor king
And
wall combo setup is, yeah, there's no way to directly counter it when you get hit. You have to guess. You honestly just have to guess. If you do down back to block, and she does while standing 4, you will get hit. If you stay on the floor to dodge the while standing 4, and she did down 4, was it down 4 or the grab?
Yeah, down 4, you get hit. Yep.
Or worse is the grab. Worse is the grab.
Guaranteed.
Guaranteed.
Guaranteed back 1-2.
Back 1-2. Yep. Guaranteed back 1-2. Which is very.
And another mix-up after that because it's plus.
Yeah, because it's plus. God help you if you're there and then, I don't know, wave dash. Was this rage drive and then here on the wall. Oh dear.
Yep, and an easy giant swing.
Easy giant swing. Yeah.
After rage drive.
After rage drive. Yep.
Freak.
But yeah, that's really how it goes when that's kind of like what our minds go through whenever we lab or practice in fighting games. There's always a purpose. Whenever we lab, it's not really impromptu. It quite like
there's no like.
Yeah, like it's kind of like in FPSs where people go to a practice shooting range. It's usually to practice aim, memorize recoil patterns, etc. There's always a purpose whenever people lab in fighting games. It's exactly the same. But again, because there are so many characters to fight and so many moves to learn, there are so many layers in a fighting game labbing session, which is why it can get exhausting and why it also goes on for a bit. But that is part of the fighting game experience. That is part of the fighting game grind, to be, if anything. The grind is not just climbing the ladder, it's labbing. Labbing is still part of the grind. Okay.
But in comparison, MOBAs also have like the same like, labbing session because, for example, Dota have like, 80 heroes to learn and each have 4 skills you need to learn.
Yeah.
So it's like, fighting games is not the most labby game. Like, there's other games like MOBAs and stuff like that. So it's not really, fighting games needs a lot of time to grind. I don't like it. I mean, it's the same as MOBAs.
It's the same as MOBAs, but I would say that fighting games, you can lab a short amount of time and you'll learn a lot. It's just that there are many layers to learn.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like, but in terms of something like MOBAs, you have to learn how to fight every single one, I feel. You have to know what every skill of every hero does.
Yep, and the AoE, the range, the curve.
How to counter it, like, wait, does standing still with this debuff, like, do anything? Am I supposed to run away? Am I supposed to, like, you have to know that. But at least in fighting games, it's very straightforward. There's just a bunch of layers, but in terms of, like, info dump, not as complicated as MOBAs. In my opinion.
Yep, I can agree.
And of course, like MOBAs is very team-based. Your teammates can still save you, and you have to play with your team. In fighting games, when you lose, you have no one else to blame but yourself or the game. And yes, I'm looking at you, Magic Finger of Harada. Fucking Magic Finger.
Or the cameraman can save you.
Cameraman,
sometimes.
yeah, that too. My god. Okay, have you ever gotten legitimately frustrated playing a fighting game?
Yes.
Okay.
Speaking of this topic,
Mhm.
like, I think 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, well, at max a month ago, I forgot, but it's super recent. I uninstalled Tekken.
Oh!
I was unranked. I was fighting against Lydia. I lost because, well,
Hellsweep?
DLC bullshit.
Ah.
Yes. Political storm, Hellsweep,
Hellsweep.
cat stands, into blue stuff, plus frames on the wall, blah blah blah.
It's
I lost like
oof.
0-5, and then I was like, alright, fuck DLC, and then I queue again, and then I meet Fakumram.
Oh no, the worst.
And then I was in the wall, I got charge attack, I got guard break, wall stun over and over and over again.
The funny
blah, blah,
part,
blah.
the funny part is that I would argue that Lydia is the most balanced DLC we've got to date.
And then I was like, I'm done with Tekken. Okay, one more time, and then I queue again, and I meet the same Lydia, and I was like, you know what?
Fuck this game.
I think I had enough Tekken. Sorry.
Yeah.
I uninstalled, and I play Fortnite.
God. And again, not judging you, that is a very natural response. Sometimes a game that you love, played so long, can get so frustrating to the point where you're like, yeah, fuck this, I'm uninstalling.
Like that day, I only meet Fakuram and Lydia's the entire day. It's not fun. But then a friend of mine comes to me like, hey Risa, you wanna learn Lydia? Yeah, sure. And then I was like, oh, so this is how you counter Lydia, and it brings me back to the game because when you have friends to laugh with,
yeah.
when you have friends to laugh with, it's super helpful, you know.
Yeah, but it still doesn't save you from the DLC bullshit that they have.
Yeah, I mean, DLC.
Oh, DLC bullshit.
Like,
my god.
How can Fakuram have a guard break in Tekken?
And like, oh my god. The worst part is that the audio cue doesn't help. You just hear like, is that the only audio cue I can use? And you can't react to that.
And like, you can only see if like his body is shining or not in like a split second. Like, what the heck? Can you at least make it more, you know, seeable in a like god eyes, you know?
And this is something I did talk about in Tekken before, you know. Like, when they start, my problem with Leroy and Fakumram wasn't even their kit, but because they had unique properties that no one else in the roster had. Like, Leroy had and no, I'm not even talking about his parry or his stance. No, I'm talking about his cane. His fucking cane. It's an item that's it's an item move that's actually good. It's comboable, it's plus AF, and it's a mid. And then Fakumram, he's the only character in the game who has a move that will wall splat you on block.
Yeah, that's so unfair.
Block.
It's annoying.
Oh,
it's
and guess
annoying to fight against.
Oh, and guess what? There's so many variants to that. There is a mid, there is a high. And they will wall splat. So I'm just like, good lord, why is this a thing?
The one thing that frustrates me on Fakumram is in the guessing game of the guard break, you either have to take the guard break or you need to take the hell sweep, which is both of the options are high risk, highly rewarding. Meanwhile, like in Kazuya, if you do DF1 4, you get nothing. If you do DF1 2, you get like
yeah, 4 or something.
Depending on where they are. Yep. Yeah. But Fakumram, both of them ends with an Oki.
Oki,
like, what? Why is it fair?
Oki and let's not forget that Fakumram's Rage Drive wall combo is still bullshit.
Yeah.
It's so easy to do. It's so
Pakuram is
easy.
crazy.
Pakuram is really crazy. And that was my problem. I'm glad Lydia doesn't have any of that special property bullshit. She doesn't have a guard crush on block. She
She
doesn't have an
does have
item.
a 3-hit strike, let's say, on mid. Political Storm.
Yeah, she has Political
That's,
Storm.
it's a 3-hit swing mid.
It is a better version of Law's 3+4. Because even on block, if they don't input 4 at the end, it's punishable. And if they do input 4, you can duck it. And on block, it's still punishable. But I would say the busted thing about Lydia is her Hell Sweep. Because, to my knowledge, it is the only Hell Sweep that has a unique property of, I am on your side. I am not on your feet.
There's no pushback.
I am on your side.
On your side, and on your face.
So
there's
I'm
no like pushback. There's no whatever.
There is. It's basically a tech roll setup. It's a tech roll Oki setup. If you react wrong, like if you try to side roll another low, but they go for the 4-4-3 instead, you will be launched most likely. Or worse, you will fall face first, your legs towards Lydia. That's even worse. Like, oof.
But the beautiful world of tech and DLC.
Yep, DLC power is the thing. But despite that, I set my foot down. I'm still bringing Kazumi and only Kazumi to Rev Major. Anyhow, okay. For me, have I ever gotten legitimately frustrated playing a fighting game? Yes, I have. This was in Guilty Gear. This was Guilty Gear Strive. This was when I fought two particular people. I fought Chaos's Potemkin and I fought Sheikah's Happy Chaos before the tweak. And this was when I realized that, right, it's when you play against proper players that you realize problems in a game. And no, not because I was salty, but because I haven't played against decent Potemkins until I fought Chaos. That made me realize, yeah, there is a problem. And it's not even a problem with Potemkin. It is a problem with Strive damage. And I think I have been spoiled with so many other fighting games where, like, even with Marduk's insane damage, let's say I picked quote-unquote the worst character in Tekken, the bear, you'll still interact with each other several times in a single match. Be it like a trade, a poke, a punish, you'll still do that so many times. But straight up in Guilty Gear Strive, and we saw this actually happen in an actual tournament. I think that it was in Evo. Somebody did Potbuster thrice in a row against Soul. It's not Milia. It's not Chip. Soul bad guy, who has not a very high damage profile, but he has decent damage profile. Like, if we were to say, like, do they take high, medium, or low amounts of damage? I think he takes, like, medium amount of damage. But, yeah. He did that thrice in a row, and that ended the round. And I'm like, there's something wrong with that. And again, it's not because it's Potemkin, but it's Strive damage in a nutshell. And when I fought Sheikah's Happy Chaos as Ino, I already saw a major problem. Because Ino's dash is an air dash. And the fact that his fully charged shot has such a insane horizontal knockback on block, I'm like, how the hell am I gonna get close? Because Stroke the Big Tree doesn't even work because he can still shoot me out of it or, you know, jump. Strive, being a 2D game, favors attack over defense, so Happy Chaos gains a lot of meter just by shooting someone, even on block, so he can reset the meter for his focus. I'm like, wait, is this really a thing? It is a thing. And I'm like, I did some research after this. Like, it wasn't Sheikah that directly made me frustrated. It's when I fought his Happy Chaos, I'm like, wait, there's a problem with this. And I did some research. I'm like, wait, Ino's matchup against Happy Chaos is 1-9 or 0-10? It may as well be 0-10 at this point. And I really tried to be as unbiased as I could. I haven't heard of any similar matchup in Tekken.
Yeah, there's no 0-10 matchup in Tekken.
There is no 0-10 or 10-0 matchup in Tekken. I
mean, Kuma beats Devil Jin and Evo, so...
Yeah, and I really tried to be as unbiased as I could. But yeah, I'm like, Jesus Christ, like, is this really a thing? And apparently it is a thing. And as much as I want to say, haha, Happy Chaos, your matchup is just as bad against Potemkin, I'm like, wait, that doesn't sound like a good design to me. Because it sounds like a rock, paper, scissors now. I mean, imagine this scenario, and this can't happen. Like, let's say I face Risa in Rev Major and Guilty Gear Strive, and we both do blind pick. And for those who don't know, blind pick, in some tournaments, they allow this. You can ask the TO or the referee, I'd like to ask for a blind pick. Meaning, I say who my pick is, Risa says who her pick is, and we have to pick that. And we say that to the referee, so only the referee knows who we are going to pick. So let's say I say I'm gonna pick Happy Chaos. And then she picks Potemkin. No, let's say she picks Potemkin. Or no, that's right, Ino. She picks Ino. First set, not surprised. I 2-0 her. She doesn't get a single round. Very much expected. So I'm stuck with Happy Chaos. Next round, she picks Potemkin. I get floored. I'm not surprised. She picked Potemkin. Guess what? I'm gonna pick Gold Lewis. She gets floored. I win the set 2-1. And I'm like, this is just a rock, paper, scissors match. I don't like that. Like, good lord. Now, I did not uninstall Strive, but I stopped playing Strive for a period of time because I'm like, I disagree with this. I disagree with this design. And again, like,
do you think the NFT will have the same problem?
Here's the thing. I cannot properly answer that question because I am not in a position where I can give you reliable info. Blue, I think, will be able to give a fair... I think Blue will be able to give a fair... answer. And Daru beat the shit out of HD players. Oh dear. Sheikah, do remember, the ones that really matter in a fighting game, the one that keeps fighting games alive, is not the pro scene, it's the casual scene. Do you remember when Strive celebrated 500,000 sales? A lot of them were casuals. A lot of them didn't even reach floor 7. They just loved Strive because it was much more accessible and it looked really fucking good. And rollback. So yeah, like, yes, like a really good Ino will floor a really bad Happy Chaos player. Because they know what not to do, and the Happy Chaos player probably doesn't know what to do or how to play their character properly. And again, I've said this before. I would rather play a character that's bad properly than play a really good character improperly. If I, like, again, I would rather play a trash tier, quote unquote, trash tier character like Lucky Chloe properly than playing someone like Facum Ram, but I just don't know how I don't know how to use him. That's way better in my opinion. But yeah, thankfully, I didn't uninstall Guilty Gear like Risa did with Tekken. But I was close. I was very close though. Because well, for Risa, it was because of DLC power. A bad day against DLC power of all things. And for me, it was just disagreement with the design of the game. Like, I wasn't even salty that I lost to Chaos's Potemkin. No, I didn't mind that. Or I had to stress myself out to beat Chica's Happy Chaos as Ino. But it's just that the design of the game, I disagreed with it. Like, I had to put it down. I had to stop playing for a while. Because I didn't want to end up hating it completely and, like, drop it. Like, even right now, I would say I just don't have the motivation to pick up Strive right now. But it's still installed. It's still installed. I'd like to ask a follow-up question to Risa. Do you think that if you didn't uninstall Tekken that day and you kept playing, you'd eventually hate the game altogether? If that day kept going the same way it was?
I'll probably uninstall it longer.
Longer if you did, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I need to stop. I know my tipping point. I know my boiling point.
So yeah, guys.
I uninstall to. The reason why I uninstall is so I can't press play anymore. It's to stop myself, you know.
Take it from Risa of all people, who is very wholesome, not a rage quitter, who actually uninstalled Tekken out of legitimate frustration. Okay, legitimate frustration. Sometimes you really have to. Sometimes you really have to distance yourself from something you really love, like a fighting game or any game or whatever. Sometimes you really need to distance yourself, take a break, or else you'll end up hating it. Not being frustrated, hating it, and you don't want that. Because, like, there are so many factors. It can be a bad day, everything, you're doing everything right, but it's just not working out. You have an off day. It can be anything. But one thing for certain, if you keep going, you will eventually hate the game. That is for certain. As to what's causing it, there's so many to point out, you're not 100% sure. But what you're better off really just stopping for a while, take a break, or else you'll end up uninstalling and it stays uninstalled. You don't want that. Okay. Next question. Any memorable moments for you in your whole experience playing fighting games?
Memorable experience?
Memorable moment in your entire, like, history of playing fighting games.
I don't know if it's like something amazing or something. It's just like my memories of like getting wins in the arcades versus like bigger names in the locals just makes it fun. Like, oh, this is the guy that I watched like back then, and now after labbing and training together with friends, like I'm able to beat them. You know, like it feels good to like when you watch someone play and you're amazed by them, and then eventually in the future you beat them in a match. Like I used to look up to this person and then suddenly beat them. It's like, it's fun to have that feeling. I guess that's the only memorable moments like those, like moments like I can't believe I beat player A, you know. There's not much amazing because I don't play competitively. I just play locals in the arcade, and beating up people in the locals in a set just feels nice to me. Like it really makes me feel like this is the fighting game for me, you know? Like,
Mm.
I actually improve. Like, the sense of improvement is always memorable for me. Like, okay, let's make it simple. Like,
Yeah.
yesterday I was in a long set with Excel.
Mhm.
I got absolutely destroyed by Jack.
Mhm.
Well, not yesterday, like a few days ago. And then after a long set, I finally learned how he plays, how
Mhm.
his weird playstyle is. It's not Tekken, it's Excel's playstyle. And when I figure it out, I feel great. That's already memorable for me that I still can improve in Tekken, you know. I haven't hit my ceiling.
Oh
I
yeah.
still have a stair to climb. So every step of that stair that I climb is memorable for me because it makes me feel happy.
I mean, think of it this way. Everyone thought Ni was the ceiling until Arslan Ash showed up.
Yeah. But, you know, sometimes in a video game, there's like, sometimes there's a feeling like, is this my peak?
Yeah.
Is this like my dead end of improvement? I can't get better than this. And every time I just learn about something new in fighting games, I feel like that feeling is gone, that I can still improve despite according to my playtime, you know, like I'm not moving in static.
Hmm.
So yeah. I think every improvement I have is memorable for me. I don't have any something amazing and stuff.
Fair enough. That's a wow. That's a very wholesome, like memorable moment for Risa. So that memorable moment is not really a singular moment; it's a lot of them. And I guess
It's a sense of improving and learning. Like, wow, I can't believe I do better now, you know? Like, I will remember this day.
For
This feeling why I love fighting games. Alright.
For
What about you,
me,
Nori?
it was when I gave Street Fighter V a second chance. Because that was the fastest game that I dropped. 30 minutes. I refunded it on Steam. Because I'm like, oh my god, this is not Street Fighter, fuck this game. But then I gave it another try. Because Blue, Chaos, Dealer, Jules, they were playing it. I'm like, is Street Fighter V really that good now? So I bought it when it was on sale. I gave it a shot. And when stuff started to click quite fast, and I started pulling off a bunch of comebacks and decent sets, I don't know, that felt really good for me. And honestly, that started that whole mentality for me to like give stuff a second chance. And yes, I'm talking about Fortnite. Giving
So
Street
indirectly,
in
thanks to Street Fighter,
yes,
you play Fortnite.
thanks to
Yeah,
Street
thank you,
Fighter
Capcom.
5, I gave Fortnite a second chance. Cause yeah, like it's a risk. Like, do I really give Street
Yeah,
Fighter 5 a second chance? Even though my first experience with it was so bad. And I took feedback from Blue, from Chaos, from Jules, from Dealer. I'm like, okay, you know what? I trust you guys. I'll give it another shot. I did give it another shot. I enjoyed it. I'm like, wow. So I can play Street Fighter 5 pretty well. Which means I can also play Street Fighter in general pretty well, I think. And then just a few months or a few weeks after Street Fighter 6 announcement, I'm like, oh fuck, Street Fighter looks beautiful. And to be honest, I
I
think
got that feeling. It's like seeing SF6 is amazing.
yeah,
It looks
honestly,
so
if
good.
I didn't give Street Fighter 5 a second chance, I probably would have said, yeah, it looks cool, but I don't care. I honestly think if I didn't give Street Fighter 5 a second chance, I think if I see Street Fighter, it's just like, yeah, that looks great, but nah, I really don't care. So I'm really glad I gave
Sounds
Street
like
Fighter 5
Mortal
a
Kombat
second
for me.
chance. Oh, what about Mortal Kombat?
Sounds like Mortal Kombat for me. Like, oh, new MK, cool. I
Don't
don't
care.
care. But cool.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair, but if there is one thing I want fighting games to take from MK, it's how they do single-player content. That is
Oh yeah,
that
single
is
player
one thing
content for MK.
that is
Really
one
good.
thing we cannot take away from Mortal Kombat. They know how to do single-player content for fighting games.
Yeah, that's like the studio in general, NetherRealms.
Yeah.
They do like
they know
great
how to
single
do
player
it.
contents. I enjoyed Injustice as a single player game. I won't play it online.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay. Next question. Is frame data, hitbox, or hurtbox data important when labbing a game, would you say?
For me, no. I don't really. Okay, yes and no. Okay? To be fair, yes and no.
Okay.
In punishment training, what I learn is like, I just get my feeling like, can I punish this? Yes, no, yes, okay, that's good. That's it. I don't know how many minuses it's punishable. So that's enough for me. And then in a real match, I can just try to punish it with a bigger frame of move. Like, can I DF2 this? Yes, no, no. Okay, so it's unsafe, but not that unsafe. I just play by heart, you know. Like, I don't care about the numbers, but I do care about plus frames. Like, how many plus am I in on this move? Because I think plus frame is more important than learning how many minus your enemy is. Because I'm more of a pressure momentum player, so I need to know where my plus is. I really, really need to know. But I don't care about how many minus the enemy is because I just punish by trial and error. And hurtbox and hitbox, I just see it. I just see the model coming from Tekken. Because hitbox and hurtbox is like simple. In Tekken, there's no like weird hurtbox like Ramathal's sword doesn't have it, but...
Or as Senna told me, Giovanna's close slash hitting straight up to the skies, even though her knee only goes up to her chin.
Yeah. Like that, like those weird hurtbox and hitbox in 2D fighters. Like,
yeah.
In Tekken, you don't really need to learn because this is their body, this is their hitbox. That's it. If they jab, then that's the hurtbox. That's it.
Or you
Meanwhile,
know,
in 2D, you have
people being able to 6P Faust's stab. I'm like, wait, you can 6P that?
like in Unis, for example. Like in Unis, I know there's like a move where the guy just sight the floor and it's an overhead. And I was like, what? That's an overhead? But he hits the foot. Yeah, but it's an overhead.
I love 2D bullshit. I'm glad I'm not playing it, but I love 2D bullshit.
And I was like, okay. So in 2D, I need to learn hurtbox because things like this exist.
Well,
but in Tekken, you don't really need to.
Yeah. Well, for me, not just in Tekken, but any fighting game, I think what's more important when you lab, one, have an objective. Don't just lab arbitrarily, you know? Make sure that when you enter practice or training mode, you're doing it for a reason. Number two.
Yes.
This is coming from a heart player, as I honestly think it's Shiko who called me a heart player, and I'm glad he did. Like, frame data, hitbox, hurtbox data, or any kind of data that's very, like, numerical or visual, I would say it's not something I really look out for whenever I lab, even outside Tekken. What I do lab mostly, outside of combos, because that's the most common reason why people lab in fighting games, is to, you know, how to properly execute easy to difficult combo strings of several characters. Like, of course, you have, for example, like, let's say, Kazuya's triple electric combo or quadruple electric combo. Or the easier version of the while standing 2 combo, which is sidestep 1+2. It's easier and still deals it still deals decent damage. So yeah, you have that kind of labbing session. That's very common. But most importantly, other than just having a clear goal, if your concern is frame data, hitbox data, and whatnot, do note that that is not something that you're going to be thinking of when you fight. Because you're fighting a dummy in training mode. But in a real match, you're fighting a human being. A very unpredictable element. Now, these like -10, -14, +3, +7, it's not really gonna be something you'll memorize. It's something that you will simplify and then memorize. So for example, if I block a low, I know it's minus. How minus? I can't really fucking recall because Heihachi is already doing forward 2 right after. I have to block that. That's why. But basically, when you have knowledge that something is minus or plus, what you're doing in a labbing session is, what do I do with this knowledge that it's minus or plus? You're trying to get a habit or a mindset. So, for example, Risa, how minus is down 1 plus 2 for Kazuya?
Down 1 plus 2. That's the God Hammer, right?
Yeah. The Hashi.
Let's see. Oh, wait. That's... I don't know, but it's punishable with while rising 4.
There you go.
That's for
See?
sure.
Like, even Risa, who can duff 2 peg whiff. And no, I'm not talking about down back 2. It's down 1 plus 2. The Hashi.
Yeah, that's
this is
while
coming
rising 4 punished.
from a really fucking competent Kazuya player. She doesn't even know the frame data for Kazuya's Hashi on block. She just knows that it's minus and you can punish it with while standing 4. Can you punish with while standing 1 plus 1-2 as Kazumi?
Yes, you can.
Yes, you can, but if you didn't, you'd know it if you tried. And that's exactly what you really do in a labbing session. You try. You have these theories that you've gotten in matches where you've lost or won. So like, let's say for example, what's a character that you seldom fight, Risa?
Bears.
Bears, okay. So let's say you block a low from a bear, and you're like, this low looks similar to like Hashi on block. But
Yeah,
like in the middle of a match, Risa's not going to go for the optimal punish, which is, for example, if she's using Kazuya, she's not gonna use the optimal punish of while standing 1-2, which is a launcher. She's gonna go for the safest option, which is while standing 4-4.
Yep, unless I'm ahead.
Not unless
if I'm ahead, I would try.
You would try it.
Yeah, I would try.
But I would say more often than not, she would still go for the safer option. After the match, she already has this theory like, wait, I think I can punish it with while standing 1-2 because it looks like a move that can be punished with while standing 1-2. And that's her labbing session. It's basically theory crafting and putting that theory to practice so that you have knowledge about it. And I myself have done this several times as Kazumi, who has literally only 3 options to punish lows. You have while standing 4-4, while standing 1-2, and while standing 2, which is a launch punish. And while standing 2 has a very simple tell if you can use it. It's basically, yeah, did you punish a snake edge? Then yeah, use while standing 2. Like that's very obvious. And you would know that if you labbed it. Like if you blocked a snake edge and you punished it with while standing 4-4, don't feel so bad. Like sometimes we do panic punishes like that. You're like, wait, fuck.
Yeah, every punish counts. Every punish
It's
counts.
a punish. You know what's worse than a punish? A Chicago punish? No punish. That's way worse.
It's way worse to like overthink what to punish and not punish at all.
Or
Or like,
worse, if you like wait while standing 1-2, you do it late, so it ends up being blocked, and you get punished for
and then
using
you
that.
get launched. Yep.
Yeah, now that's bad. That's sad. But yeah, basically, like I said, in frame data, in labbing, what's more important than frame data, hitbox, or whatever, you should have a purpose to your labbing. You're not just labbing just for the heck of it. Like, you probably have a theory or something you want to try, or you got hit by a move, or you blocked a move, and you're like, wait, can I punish it with this move? How do I deal with this move? That's the most important part of a labbing session. And when you are done, you want to try to immediately apply it. Because that's how you retain that knowledge. That's how you retain knowledge of everything you've learned in a labbing session. You don't just, for example, if Risa doesn't know that she can punish Hashi with while standing 1-2, she's not just gonna lab doing that for like 20 minutes and then close the game. No, she's gonna try it eventually, like in a match. Like when she sees a move that she can punish with while standing 1-2, she's gonna try it. Just so she can get the feel for it and that she can memorize, like, oh yeah, while standing 1-2 works.
Yep.
Okay, penultimate question. Do you think rank or competitive game modes are essential to fighting games? Ooh.
No, I don't think so. Like, rank is just a number. I don't think it matters, but it does help. It does help in the point of view of like, I want to fight a player that's on the same rank for me, but you know, I think it's not essential. Like, you can run a fighting game without any rank matches, like only casual lobbies. It can work, but I don't think it works the other way around. Like, if a game only has rank game, that will probably pull away like a lot of players. Like, there's no casual at all. It'll like stress out newer players. Like, why is there no casual match? But I think ranked mode is not essential because I just wanna play. Like, the last time I touched rank in Tekken is like, I don't know, back when I uninstalled.
Oh dear, that says a lot.
And now,
Wow.
like, I play casual and quick match only, and I'm having the same amount of fun. Even more fun, at least, because there's no binary numbers that I need to worry about losing, like my title and stuff. So fighting games is more fun in a quick match setting.
That's
So,
fair.
If Tekken 8 doesn't have rank, I don't really care.
Oh,
I still gonna have fun.
I agree.
But if it only have rank game, I'm not gonna play it, I think. I'm just gonna play with friends.
Oof. Fair enough. Let's see, for fighting
There's, like,
games,
this-
are ranked competitive
fighting
game modes
games.
are essential? I would have to agree with what Risa said. No, I don't think so. Because back then, and I'm using Smash Bros as an example, there was no ranked competitive match mode for Smash Melee. But Smash Bros. Melee was turned into a competitive esport, and it's one of the most popular ones to this day. Even Nintendo hates the fact that it's a competitive, like, fighting game esport. But it still is. Why? Because the community, like, turned it into a competitive game. And thing is, no matter how big that competitive community is, the casuals will always outnumber them. I honestly believe in any fighting game, the casuals will outnumber the more competitive side.
Yeah, that's in any game
anytime.
even.
Any game, yeah. And I think that is something that people should take to mind, especially game developers, when they think about developing a fighting game. Like, whenever they say that this fighting game is Evo ready, I'm not excited. I'm actually worried. Because I'm like, so you built
Yeah, like,
this just so that you can
What
put
is
it in
even
Evo?
Evo already?
How, like,
Yeah, exactly.
when you say it's Evo ready, what even is your criteria? Like, when they
Yeah, like,
marketed Blaze Blue Cross Tag as Evo Ready, I didn't even pick it up. Not even because it was Evo Ready, but I just wasn't interested. Like, it wasn't enough to pull me in, and I love fighting games. So,
fair.
how would they pull in others who love watching Evo and not play fighting games? But, you know, I don't think they were pulled into to buying BB Tag on launch. I don't think they were. And, like, again, more so than rank and competitive, I think that a fighting game needs to be playable before anything else. Because this is exactly
Yeah,
what
it has to
killed...
be fun.
This is what killed KOF 15, like, after its honeymoon period. I wasn't playing it at all. I uninstalled it, and it stays uninstalled to this day. Why? Because I couldn't find a goddamn match! The netcode was great, but good luck with matchmaking because you couldn't even find one. And if I have to
Yeah, I think
change
that's a
my...
price issue
If I
as
have to
well.
change my settings on Windows to find one, that is a major issue. Like, a fighting game should be playable right outside the box. I shouldn't have to change my region settings or language settings on Windows or Steam to be able to find players in my region. That is just fucked up. And
Yep.
their whole system of sportsmanlike conduct, which was great, was poorly implemented because of that system. So let's say that I got matched against Risa, and we both accept, but because of the buggy matchmaking servers, we never got in the match. Guess what? We both get penalized. So our sportsman-like score is no longer 100%. It's now 91 point something percent. And I'm like, I got punished for something I didn't even do. What the fuck? I don't want to be paired by the others who actually rage quit whenever they get queued. But, like, how am I supposed to fix that rating if I can't even get in a match? You know, to play till the end so that the rating goes up. And it's sad too that
That's a weird
whenever...
system.
It is a weird system. And whenever Blue and PK opened up lobbies, it was such a pain in the ass to get in the lobby. Like, once you got in the lobby, you're good. The matches will be fine. But, oh my god, was getting inside the lobby a major pain in the ass. Like, the fighting game itself was great. The UI was great, the characters were great. I loved the balancing and the variety of the characters, but oh my god, was matchmaking and lobby system a fucking chore. I didn't even play ranked. I wanted to, but because I couldn't, I uninstalled, and it has stayed uninstalled to this day. And just for that reason alone, I will argue that no, rank and competitive game modes are not essential to a fighting game. You need a fighting game to be straight up playable before anything else. And yes, I'm gonna go back to my example of Street Fighter V for this. Fucking input delay. And I can give it a pass for not having rollback because this was in a time where rollback wasn't even really a thing. I'll give that a slide. But the input delay and the number of characters that was there on release? No. I refunded it within 30 minutes. And this is someone who plays fighting games a lot. I don't consider myself a casual fighting game player. I wish I could, but I have to go at least, like, I'm a fighting game enthusiast at this point.
Yep, same here. Enthusiasm on watching, probably. Because I only play Tekken.
And honestly,
Like, right now.
And honestly, for Get Ready, I'm not even going to expect... I'm not even going to be more concerned about... sorry, let me rephrase that. I am still, of course, going to be looking out for the balance changes, the new mechanics, the removal of mechanics, the removal of characters and whatnot, how they're gonna package it, what's gonna be the new characters or the new guest characters, if ever. Like, yeah, I'll be on the lookout for those, but for God's sake, it needs a better netcode. It needs a better netcode.
And a better lobby.
It needs an anti-cheat. And it needs to have the save data not save scummable. Because I really hate the
weirdest second part.
I really hate the fact that there are people like Faribors that get away with the bullshit that they do. Auto throw break, auto low parry. Blatantly on stream, and they can still play Tekken. I'm like, Tekken is not cheap, and it's not on sale every time. I don't think a cheater is gonna spend $40, $60 every time they get banned just to cheat again on Tekken with the risk of getting banned again. I honestly think there is no, like, cheater, and there's no anti-cheater ban system in Tekken. It needs that. It honestly needs that, because if there's one major problem in Tekken more so than the netcode, cheaters.
And the lobby as well. Like, it's
the lobby.
Why can't we
janky.
play? You know? Yep. Like, why do other people need to spectate the ones playing and not do anything? You know? That's like terrible.
Yeah. And here's the funny thing, Risa. I only found out recently. Do you know what's one way to make the loading of a match a lot faster?
Yes.
Do you remember Do you remember at the loading screen of every match, it says "Get ready for the next battle"?
Uh-huh.
If you remove the flame effect, do you know that the match starts a lot faster?
Can you do that?
With a mod, you can.
Oh, with a mod.
It is a mod. And
yep,
I'm like,
I mean,
this is
sense.
what it takes for matchmaking or for matches to start a lot longer in Tekken. It's to remove the flame effect. Oh my god. And do you notice that whenever you boot up a training match, it still does that? And then, like, the screen will slow down, and then it speeds up after the fire shows up?
Yeah, the FPS will drop for a bit when the fire shows up, and then
it speeds up.
It goes like back fast.
I'm like, wait.
I noticed.
Yeah, I think people theorize, like, wait, what if we took that out? And apparently, yeah, it does make matches load faster. I'm like, oh my god, they need to optimize the shit out of Get Ready. They really need to optimize it, please. Okay. Last question. So, if a... Ooh, my voice cracked. So, if a friend was grinding a fighting game, what would you tell them to do and to not do?
Well, first of all, I think they should learn how to block. That's it. Like, you don't need to, like, do optimal combos. Like, just do, like, the most simple, accessible, shortest combo possible if you want to get into a fighting game. But please learn how to block, because you won't do all those shiny fancy stuff if you mash and get hit and don't have the chance to do it. So I think the most important part for newer players to, like, get into fighting games is to learn how to block first, and then you learn the fancy combos. You don't even need to punish, you just need to block. Please learn to block first, because there's, like, a lot of Tekken newcomers that just mash buttons and they just want to do a launcher over and over again and gets, murdered just because they don't know how to block. You know, like those snake edge spammer and stuff like that. It always works in, like, low ranks because they don't know how to crouch block. So I think the most essential part in any fighting game is blocking, actually.
Hmm.
Like, I know you want those cool combos, I know you want those cool strings to do, but please learn how to block first. And learn when are you, like, safe to press buttons, you know? I think that's my take on, like, getting into a new fighting game.
Okay, so a more pragmatic approach then when when your friend is grinding in a fighting game. That's fair, that's fair. And again, of course, this is in the context of grinding, not just playing a fighting game. For me,
Oh, in terms of grinding, yeah.
yeah, grinding a
Yeah,
fighting game.
go
Like
ahead.
that is
I'll
proper. But
continue my answer.
hmm?
I'll continue my answer after you.
Yeah. So again, when grinding a fighting game, I would probably tell my friend to for sure take notes, I would say. Well, not
Yeah, take
literally
notes.
take notes. So you take mental notes whenever you lose, because like and also to you should have a very good mentality when you grind fighting games. Like I think a healthy mentality is that you shouldn't expect you shouldn't play a match expecting you will win. Like, cuz there's never a guarantee that you will win. You will probably lose. If anything, I think a good mentality for, like, especially if it's grinding, like rank ladders and whatnot, I think it's a good mentality to, like, I just hope that I play properly. Like, I'm able to do well against whoever I fight. Because if you get washed, this is where note-taking will play an important role. Like, it can be a matchup you don't know, a matchup you do know, but you still get washed. That's when you're like, okay, what did I do wrong? What did they do right? What did they do that I don't know how to deal with? Etc, etc. Note-taking is very important. But of course, more important than that is, again, like I said, your mentality. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have the mentality that, like, yeah, I expect myself to win. No, that's great. But there is no guarantee that you'll win every match, even though you do everything right. So I think it's a safer and healthier mentality if you play every match or enter every match with the mentality of, like, I expect to at least do well. And quite frankly, that literally is my mentality, even for player lobbies whenever I get Blue, Elmo, Excel, Sheikah, Risa, Eagle to play Tekken with me. Like, I don't really have this mentality, yeah, I'm gonna win every match against them. No. Like, my mentality literally is like, I will try, and I expect to at least do relatively well against them. And even though, like, and testament to this was my last session with Risa that went for about, like, 50 or so matches.
Yep,
And
65 matches.
yeah, and Risa won more than I did, but I did have fuck-ups and mistakes there, but I had more decent rounds and sets than I had really bad ones. And again, even though people can defend me by saying, Nari, you didn't play Tekken that for a while. You haven't been, like, labbing or whatnot. So, yeah. That, like, yeah, okay, but that, in my opinion, that's not a good excuse to follow. It just sounds like a really bad excuse for me. Like, it's because I didn't practice. Nah, not necessarily. Even if I don't practice, I should be able to still do relatively well. Of course, because I don't lab as often as Excel and Risa, I shouldn't be winning as often as I expect to. But at least I expect to do particularly well. Even though I get 03 or 010, at least for every set, am I making sure I don't get perfected every time? Or at least I whittle down Risa's HP close to rage, if not rage on every match, then if yes, then okay. Then I'm doing fine. I'm not even gonna be salty or anything. So yeah, that's my take on, like, if a friend were grinding a fighting game, what would you tell them to do and not do? But Risa wanted to continue her answer, so go ahead.
Well, yeah. Okay, to add to those points, I guess if you really like get into a fighting game, I guess you need to know how to take breaks as well. Like I know some, well, in case for me, like I just uninstalled Tekken because I hit my boiling point like that day. Like for newer players, please, like if you need to stop, like if you already feel salty in online or like after you lab, just take a break. That's like the best. And then you will go back to the game. You will play better than before. Really, like take a break. That's like a good tip for newer fighting game players is learn when to stop.
I agree.
Because if you play with rage, you won't learn anything in every loss. Because your brain isn't working as clearly
Yeah.
already.
Like, after taking a hashi or 3 hashis in a row because you're mad, you're no longer like, why am I taking those every time? The only thing your
It's
mind
more like
processes is like, fuck, I keep getting hit by those, and you're not questioning why. That's when you know that you have to take a break. When you are
yep, and
asking
then
the
you
wrong questions, that's when you have to take a break.
yep. And when it's not fun anymore.
Yeah,
Like you
when it's
don't
not
feel
fun.
any like fun anymore and just stop. But yeah, taking notes is great. Like take every hit that you get into like a mental note. Like why did I get hit by that? And try different options. Like can you jump it? Can you duck it? Can you sidestep it if you're playing 3D? You know, like it's just all trial and errors. Like until you find the answer.
Yeah,
It's okay
especially
to get yeah, it's
since
okay to get hit
especially since it's
if
not
you
a
try.
tournament. Don't be afraid
It's not a
to.
tournament.
It's not a tournament, so don't be afraid to
Try.
try to
Try
experiment.
retaliate. Yeah. Try many options of retaliation that you learn from well, the tutorial or the blocking segment. Like, what can you do in this situation? Just try it out. It's okay to make mistakes. Like, I do it all the time. I got hit by the third hit by the string. I got hit by the fourth hit of the string that I don't know because I tried to jab check. But after that, then I know, you know,
I mean, yeah,
that's
pretty
the
much.
best part. Like you gain the knowledge for your next set or your future tournament. If you want to strive for be a pro or something.
Yeah, that's one way to look at it. And that is it. That was the last question for today's episode of Shine Talk. Thank you so much for those who tuned in, and of course, thank you, Risa, for being my guest. I highly appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for inviting. Alright, it's been a fun podcast, Shrine Talk. Oh, I thought I would be nervous, but
I know,
it's
right?
really fun.
Yeah,
Yep,
a
it's
lot
super
of
fun.
people who end up being my guests do say like, "Well, I thought I would be nervous, but nah." You
But
just
nah,
chill and
we're
speak,
chilling.
your mind. There's no wrong answers here. And if anything, like if you have a difference in answer or opinion with me, that means that I can bounce off of you and we have more to talk about, which is great.
Yep, which is great.
Yes.
Opens up more topics.
Yes. Sharing of ideas, different perspectives. It's way better. But anyhow, of course, for those who have not followed Risa yet, please, 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 you'd be doing both of us a favor by following her. Right there, I gave her a shout out. Please follow her. She plays a lot of Tekken 7, and of course, she also plays. She eternally
Eternal
returns
Return,
to Eternal Return, and when she needs to wind down, she plays Fortnite.
roguelites. Yep,
and
Fortnite or
roguelikes.
roguelikes.
Yes. Now, before I say the rest of my schedule for the day, I want to give the red carpet to you for now, Risa. So if you wanna shout any shout out or like what's your schedule for today, please kindly tell everyone in the chat.
Okay, so after this podcast, guys, I'm gonna like take a break for a bit, maybe eat lunch, maybe take a quick nap, and then I'll probably stream either Fortnite or Tekken Lobby since it's after post Shrine Talk game is like fitting for like Tekken Lobbies.
I know,
We'll
right?
see. I will see like who's available for Fortnite, who's available in Tekken because on my stream it's usually open lobbies. I usually just ask like, what is everyone gonna play today, and then I decide what I want to play. If there's like everyone is resting, I probably will, take a break and play rope fights and wait for people to come by. That's my actual, flow chart on my stream. I just wait until what people want to play, and I will play the game.
Or play something competitively until I get salty and then I play Fortnite.
Yep. Or probably get tired of Tekken and then guys at Fortnite.
Yeah. Either way, like, yeah, that's fine. Okay. For me, we are going to raid Unagi in a bit. She is currently playing Doom. But for the rest of the day, I'm gonna take a quick break, like 30-ish minutes, and then I will be playing Monster Hunter and then Xenoblade Chronicles 3. And we'll see if I can sneak in a few matches of Fortnite, but we will see. Okay. Thank you again, Foxtrots, and of course, viewers from RisaKuma's channel. Thank you so much for tuning in today's episode of Shrine Talk. Please look forward to the next one. And we'll see you in our respective streams. Sayonara, Otsuyoko deshita.
Sayonara. Thank you very much.
私の配信に来てくれて本当に光栄です。ありがとうございました。Good evening, good night, and have a good day, my precious Foxtrots. I'll see you all later. Or we'll see each other in Risa's stream later. But one thing for sure, we will see each other in Unagi's stream in a bit. There is the raid message. Y'all know the drill. Do not spam it too much on her stream chat, please. Thank you, thank you.
Yep, thank you very, very much once again for hanging
Yes.
out and talking about fighting games.
Yes. Gonna raid now.